Hey, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for joining me and tuning in for another episode. I'm so happy to have you here in the Self Taught English podcast. And today's episode, I think you will not love it but you're gonna love it and listen to it, okay? Because it's about something as we are non-native of English speaker we hate a lot, and maybe this word meaning a lot for us, which is about criticism. When you talk in English and you feel like I'm afraid to talk, I feel like my freedom someone hold it because maybe someone criticize me or judge me. I know this feeling, and especially when you are learning a foreign language which is not your first language. And when it comes to people who have never or had no idea how to speak in English and suddenly have a situation he has to reply in English, and he's so afraid because the criticism. And a lot of times we take criticism the wrong way, and this is what I'm going to talk about today. So let's start. So, to be honest, we actually internalize it. We hold our negative thoughts about it and confirm it inside us and believe in this criticism or this negative thought. Like, the worst thing now in real world, but maybe we are going to create something which is not real because we are afraid of criticism. So we criticize us before anyone said any word. So we need definitely to change our mind, and we don't need to put any criticism inside our mind. So since we are here, you are probably doing some work around changing your mindset and reframing your English experience. So you try to manage the negative self talk. When we come across criticism, sometimes we go back to old thinking pattern and old habits of simply thinking how we are not good enough and our English is not good enough. So I talk about all of that in future podcast, I think, and I will discuss some of these points with you today in today's episode. And I hope that if you are the kind of person who find it difficult when you hear criticism, then you are going to like this episode a lot because I gave you a piece of advice that might help you to deal with the future criticism or any new perspective or bad criticism or bad feedback. I think it's a new way to know how to deal with the criticism. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you like it, do do for me a favor and take a moment, and I want you to subscribe if you want, and if you don't want, you will not pay any money. Yeah, so I think I give you the introduction, and now you are waiting for the episode. So yeah, I know I don't have pauses with music and so on, but trust me, I don't have time for editing, but I think maybe the future I will do it. So, as I mentioned today, I want to talk about receiving criticism, and you know that criticism is one of the hardest thing to handle because we want to be liked, we want to be acceptable, and we want to be loved, and we want to be please people, and we don't like to feel like we are not good enough. And usually when we receive criticism, and it doesn't matter if there is a source of truth or not, we only see in one perspective, and a lot of times it hates us a lot in a very deep place, the sort of confirm something inside us. And I know that because I had this feeling a lot. Now, I'm not saying that it's true, but this is like a psychological pattern. When I try to search about this, when someone hates you in a very criticized way, what you really feel inside you. And when I do my research, I start realize that most of the population called the imposter syndrome. In fact, I talk a lot about it, the imposter syndrome, and I think it's a very important topic to talk about because this is the psychological state you become in when someone criticizes you. And this imposter syndrome is not about only criticism. It has a lot of symptoms, but I think most of the time when someone hate your face with criticize thing, you feel it immediately. So I'm going to link this research down below to see and to get a better understand what I mean. So when we receive criticism, instead of just objectively consider it and thinking whether or not it's right or wrong, we do the opposite. It immediately confirms our deepest fears. Imagine that. And thoughts and feeling about not being good enough. And especially when it comes to speaking a foreign language. For example, you learn English or Chinese or Italian, whatever foreign language you are trying to learn. And we are feeling like, anyway, our English is not good enough because we always compare it to our native speaker, our native language. And of course, it's not going to feel good enough. Of course, because I'm comparing myself to my first language. And to make things more worst, sometimes we compare ourselves in someone with lived his whole life outside in a foreign country, and we start feel like his English is amazing, but this man is lived his whole life in a foreign country. Of course he's going to be fluency perfect, maybe American or British accent. So for most people the first language is, so deeply rooted in them. It's a part of their personality, and being that the second language will never be able to live up to it, and that is, I think it's okay. It's really natural to not compare yourself, your first language, with the second language. We don't need to be perfect in English. We need to create new space for the second language and appreciate it for what we're doing. And now I decided to make this episode because a few days ago, one of my colleagues shared something that happened to her. And I wanted to share it with you. And what I said to her, I want to share the piece of advice that I said to her. And I said a lot of things, by the way. But one thing that I said to her and to other colleague also, and I think a really great way to handle such situations like that. So what happened was she received a comment from a native speaker telling her that based on the amount of work that she is investing in her English and the time she has lived in the USA, because she was living there, she should sound better like a native speaker. So imagine that. Imagine someone suddenly came to you and telling you your entire life learning English and you're still not fluent enough. You can't reach the fluency. So first of all, I categorize it as a microaggression and a middle case of discrimination, and even like a racism, because when you don't understand someone's journey and where they come from and you compare them to yourself, where you are the person in power and you have the privilege of being born in an English country, and you expect something from someone without having the experience of having the same experience you have. I think it's very much detached and discrimination, because you don't understand that people have different experiences, different sounds, different Englishes, different colors, different background, different cultures. Not everyone is like a native speaker, and not everyone needs to be sound like a native speaker. This is, I think, it's totally truth about that. So that comment is irrelevant and insensitive. I told her to block him immediately. And people with privilege don't know what it's like for people to learn a second language even they are not living in this foreign country. And I want you guys to remind me a situation I had with the British. I don't want to say the platform. It's an online international platform, but I'm gonna telling you the situation also. And to imagine that someone just try to talk in correct grammar structure sentence, and someone came to him saying, "You are bullshit. You can't say this sentence correctly." This is so mean, and you have no right to criticize or to comment on someone else's accent, pronunciation, fluency, or even his level or her level in English, whatever language they are speaking. So now let's assume it happens because they are insensitive, entitled, rude people. The world is full of this who will always have something to say about other people's performance. I think these people, their only job is to criticize people. I don't know, especially people who they feel are not good as they. Okay, you know. So, like what happened with my student or with my colleague and many other my colleagues, sometimes they face the same situation. So this is not invented situation. So let's assume this is happen. We can't control other people's actions, of course, but we can control our reaction, our emotional response, and our interpretation of this situation, how our mind interpreted. So here is the problem with criticism and imposter syndrome. And I want you in this point give me more attention. When someone says something negative about something that you are so afraid, and you know that you are not confident, and you believe that about yourself, what will end up happening is that you will use it as a confirmation to prove to yourself that what you think about yourself, your inner critic, the darkest part in you. Instead of saying that's not true, that's not impossible, or what is she's talking about this, it's just a piece of shit, you will say, oh, this is proof that I am not good enough, that my pronunciation is not good enough, that I shouldn't be living here, or maybe I don't deserve to live or to speak or to learn English. So, one thing you need to remember that how you respond to it is very much subjective here. And you can respond it in a different way. So, what I would encourage you to do is to decide that you have everything. Every one of us have every one of us has his own inner critic inside him that will agree with any bad feedback or criticism or negative feedback or maybe negative thoughts, unhelpful feedback. But don't forget that inside of you, you also have your guardian or your supporter, the evil side and the good side, angels and devils. And your guardian is going to do whatever is possible in their power to protect you from these negative thoughts. And you can also think of it as your protector. Someone protects you. And when something happens that challenges you, you can choose who you want to hear. Who you want to hear their voice inside you, your inner critic that agree with it, or your guardian that will deflect it and fight it. And it's up to you. I think I send my message to you here. And again, we can't change people, okay? It's not our job to change people. They need to do their own work, and you have to do your own job. You have to decide how you are going to respond to these things so that you will keep on track, on the right track, not any track, on the right track. Keep you on the right track and the right path to success, not defeated from it or stop you. Because I have a situation and I want to share it with you, but I attend to online English session as always I'm doing to practice my speaking, and this platform is an international platform, and I'm sorry but I will not be able to share the name for this platform. And the teacher, he's British. He's old man British. And to be honest, he left the session many times to drink a glass of water or something like that. I don't care. This is not my problem, but my problem about him that I felt like he don't want to encourage me. Instead, he don't give me any feedback. He just listen and continue. listen and continue. And when I'm trying to engage with the conversation, he don't do anything. He just listen and listen. So I felt like, are you serious? Because you are an English teacher. I thought that it's normal that my English is not perfect, but my English is clear. And my other colleague inside the session with different accent, someone from France, someone from Mexico, we are different nationalities. So of course, not everyone is perfect, and still our first language is make our accent in English is not clear. But I felt like he don't like me. I don't know why. Because he's just listen, and he stopped to give me even the bad feedback. He stopped to do anything. So I was looking at him, and to be honest, there is a lot another lady, she's left the session. She felt like this is not my place, and I think he is categorize us based on our nationalities. This is what I really felt, and this is so mean, by the way. So yeah, I continue the session, but right now what I want to say to you: if someone treat you badly, leave and relieve. Leave the person and relieve the pain. Don't think about it a lot. Just ignore. It's just like a minute situation, and everyone will go away from each other, and no one will bother again. But don't try to think about it a lot, okay? So I hope you have now a clear idea what you should do if someone criticize you, especially in your English. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope that discussion in the comments is going to be helpful for you. And yeah, I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.